For this week's project, I want to start off with a neutral background, so I'm going through some of my coffee dyed papers and a couple of my botanical prints, and we'll just start out with a nice little collage here to get moving. I'm also including this "Oh Holy Night" music sheet, as it is my favorite Christmas song. As I was going through my coffee dyed papers, I found this bit of wedding dress fabric that I had also coffee dyed, and thought it would be fun to also incorporate that in my background. I'll be using matte medium to put everything down, well, all my papers down on my canvas. But I've learned the hard way that it's best to get all the papers wet first. Make sure they're plenty wet before using matte medium. Otherwise, I've just had issues. So I don't know if you've tried that or not, but I really recommend it. Using some soft matte gel to attach my lace. I'm going to be making 3 large flowers, and I want each petal to have its own distinct pattern or look. And I'm a couple of patterns short, so I'm going to quickly go in. I'm just using printer paper here, as I did with almost all my petals, because I wanted them to be thinner, and just stenciling on some dark gray. I cut out some plain printer paper leaves, and now I'm just going to go in with a little bit of my texture paste and this stencil and put a thin layer on each one. I didn't like my lace on top of white printer paper, so I took my leftover neutrals and just painted a piece of paper really quick. Something that I think that'll go better in the background, and then cut those out, and then cutting out my stenciled paper. The bottom of my lace is way too thick, so I'm just going to cut that away really quick, and then I'll flip the piece of lace on the back side and glue my well, I am gluing. I'm going to use my soft matte gel to adhere my leaves to the back side and then cut them out. I think that will be easier. While those are drying, I'm going to get back to my canvas here and scrape on a little texture paste here and there. I'm going through and choosing which petals I want to use. I need 3 large ones of each design. I need 3 small ones of each design. I cut all these before I had kind of figured out what I wanted to do. I just have a basic idea. So I have a lot of extras here. But that's all right. I will find a way down the road to use them at some point. I want to add some paint to my petals. I want 4 of them to be in the earth tone family and 4 of them to be white, but I don't want them just to be plain white. So I'm just going to add a little paint here and there till I get them like I think they should be. I want each set to be a little bit different. Back at my canvas, I'm going to just take some off-white and brush it on here and there, and then use a couple of baby wipes to blend to bring it all together. I taped some petals together to make a flower to be able to use as a marker for my stenciling. I've got my bittersweet branches from my pumpkins canvas from many years ago. I just blew those up and printed them or cut them out of cardstock to, I do this a lot, just cardstock is very inexpensive compared to Mylar. This works great for me when I'm going to be using a design on a limited basis. And then I'll quickly go in with a small brush and fill in all of my stencil blanks. I'm using some dark green, dark gray, and some dark blue to make a nice blue-green to put on some holly on my background. I mixed up a couple of reds and I'm going to add some berries on now. I want one color for my holly and one color for my bittersweet. Although bittersweet is really more orange, I'm doing mine red. And I am just using an alligator clip with a little pom-pom to make my berries. I pull out a black acrylic marker and I'm just going to go through and put those little dots on my berries to finish them off. Turning back to my leaves, I want to put a little gold edging around each leaf, so I'm using a little bit of gold metallic paint and my dauber, and then a little piece of makeup sponge in the alligator clip to do those areas at the end that are much smaller, harder to get into. Once my edging is all done, I'm going to go in with a little matte medium and coat both sides of my petals so that they will stay for hopefully ever and ever. And I like to do this on one of my ceramic plates that I use for a palette because they clean up really nice. Flip them over with tweezers and do the other side and just put them on some wax paper to dry, and then they lift right up. Going back onto my canvas now, I grab a long liner brush and just go into that leftover gold and putting on some extra interest in my background. Trying not to be precise, just kind of flinging it on there. That dried very quickly, and now I'm just going in with some of that off-white paint and once again dabbing all over, using my baby wipes to unite everything. My petals are dry, and I'm just going to play around with them a little bit to kind of see how I want to put these together. And I'm also thinking about what to do for the centers because I'm not sure how I want to address those. I've got quite a big hole in the center, and so I go look around on my shelf and I find these little gold balls that I bought years ago to, well, you know, they have them at the Dollar Tree. You can buy them probably every year at Christmas time. Anyways, I decide to take some of my lace fabric and hot glue them around this little styrofoam gold balls. And then I'll put several of those on each flower. And I'm really pleased with how that turns out. I'm super excited to finally get to start putting my flowers together. And as I'm doing that, I'm trying to think of how am I going to adhere these little gold lace balls to the center of this thing. And it dawns on me, what if I take a piece of paper and glue it on the back side of the flower, and that would give a base, and plus any spots that showed through would just be, you know, pattern paper. So that's what I wind up doing, and I'm really pleased with how it turns out. Once I get my large petals all laid down, now I can decide where I want my next layer of the small petals. Mixing up some dark blue with a little bit of green in it. And then I'll brush that onto my canvas to give me some nice background color. I want to bring some of that gold forward a little bit, so I'm going to go in with my finger and just smush it here and there. Now I'll just use some of my Beacon Fast Grab glue to adhere my flowers. Well, that's my project. Thanks for joining me in this video, and I hope you'll join me in my next one. Bye for now.